இன்னைக்கு நம்முடைய சாய் தீபக் அவங்க எங்க போனாலும் கூட டிக்கெட் கிடைக்கிறது இல்லை. So wherever he goes, you hardly find tickets. People just don't get tickets. I'm sure many of you must have had the same problem. Yeah, such a brilliant speaker, a breath of fresh air, very straight, like piercing an arrow with an arrow. That kind of accuracy with which he speaks. So, dear brother, Sai Deepak avargale, and all the eminent people who have come here, and very young audience, pretty young audience. When you see from here, you see very young audience here. And possibly that is what we want. People who can imbibe the spirit of being a Bharatiya and take it to the next generation. Because we got a lot of busting popular misconceptions to do. And your mind is very fresh. It's fertile. And you have the ability to call a spade a spade. And you're born in a time when India is discovering itself, rediscovering itself. And that is why we are using the word called New India. That is why I feel very happy that the audience here predominantly is very young, and our senior audience here, they're willing to share their experience because they're waiting for such a long time. I would straight away dive into my field where I'm in now, politics, and think like a Bharatiya. What has happened, what is happening now, and what will happen maybe 25 years from now, and what is the India that we are looking at. So I personally believe it is important to decolonize our mindset. So this is the time where we have to declutter, decolonize our mindset. And India is that phase. And the phase la naam irukuronga. Konjam konjama the phase la ipa dhaan aarambichirukom. First we are taking out the popular misconception. We are just removing it now. Many places we are rediscovering our culture. Many places we are restoring our culture. Step number 3. And step number 4 would be practicing our culture. And step number 5 would be bridging and popularizing our culture. It's a step. It is not going to happen overnight. It is not going to happen tomorrow morning. But you will see in the last 10 years, the shift has happened. Many popular misconceptions being removed, culture being rediscovered, being practiced, being popularized, and possibly we'll get to the bridging mode. And you are 14th of this month, 3 days from now, our Honorable Prime Minister is in Abu Dhabi. He is inaugurating a Hindu temple there. A land gifted by the sheikhs there, 27 acre. And that mandir has got Lord Ayyappa, Lord Muruga, Lord Ganapati. It has got Lord Rama, Sita Mata. It has got every god from north to south, east to west. What we practice with those gods, how our life is intertwined. So all those gods are inside the temple, which is essentially the Sanatana Dharma. And 14th, Honorable PM is inaugurating it. So he's already into the 5th mode. He's already into the bridging mode. As people are talking about discovering, practicing, PM is already thinking about bridging mode. He's in a different country, 27 acres, a temple being inaugurated, 14th of February. But fundamentally, the word secular, which is tied up as for a long point of time. In our history books, the first thing that is taught is be secular, practice secularism. And wherever we want to do something also, they said, oh, this is not secular. And this is a state where a Bhumi Puja is not called secular. And there are some MPs who will come and say, how dare you do Bhumi Puja? This is the land of Dravidians. So Bhumi Puja, we don't accept. So you're wondering, what is the secularism? How did this word secularism enter into our social fabric, or probably misconstructed over a point of time? And multiple generations being made to read thought, this is secular, this is secular. And then we think that is the way we should behave. If we deviate from the norm, then probably people will scold us, or probably we might be away from the pack. The word secular came into a very, very popular imagination. It came into the popular imagination. 1951, the usage of word called secular, first time we see, by a British writer inspired by socialist idea called George Holyoake. So he got this first word called secular, socialist ideology got inspired. He got this concept of secular. Then our constitution, when it was founded, when the document was written, Sai Deepak is the exponent of it. I will not get into it, how it was written, why it was changed during the emergency, why the word called secular was inserted into it, and probably I'm sure he will touch more on it. After that, the despiritualization started. In a state like Tamil Nadu, it started much before. But rest of the country, it started slightly later, because their culture was holding on to it. during the initial rule of the Congress period, 1950s, 60s and 70s. Then when all institutions were attacked together by the concept of secularism, the de-spiritualization process started one after the other. The Dravidian ideology in Tamil Nadu, when it came, like a brother, it brought de-spiritualization along with it. Now in our yatra, we are going across Tamil Nadu. We have done 198 till yesterday. Today we are finishing 200. Now, this Yenman Yen Makkal is a very valuable experience for me personally, because there are 35 Lord Rama temples in Tamil Nadu, which is 1,000 years old. Inside our state, the geographical boundary, what we call as Tamil Nadu now, there are 35 temples of Lord Rama, which is 1,000 years old. I'm not talking of 10 years or 100 years or 200 years old. Even for Lord Rama to be born, there is a temple in Arani, if at all you happen to visit that part of Tamil Nadu, where Dasaratha Maharaja came. He prayed to the Lord Shiva there, Puttira Kametishvara temple. Dasaratha Maharaja wanted a son or wanted a child to take care of his empire. Even Lord Rama was born in our country after the prayers being offered in Arani. So you go to the temple, you see Puttira Kamateshwara temple there, you see all the history and all the, sometimes some little bit folklore also associated with the temple. When you go to Sri Lanka, you see Lord Rama's Kula Devata. Kula Deva himself was gifted to Vibhishana, and Vibhishana kept it in Sri Lanka, which you go and pray now. Recently, before the Prana Pradishta, he made a very important point by visiting Sri Lanka, by taking blessings from that deity, and then carrying out over the important task that is given to him by performing the role of Prana Pradishta. And then when you happen to visit the Suryanar temple near Kumbakonam, Tanjavur, you happen to see a Gunda there called Jatayu Gundam. That is the place Lord Rama brought Jatayu and performed the last rites for Jatayu. Even now you go there, there is Jatayu Gundam, and people go there, pray and come. So you travel all parts of Tamil Nadu. Maybe we popularly know Lord Ramanatha Swami temple in Rameshwar. But you go to small towns, you go to Mufassal towns, everywhere, you see Lord Rama's connection in every single part of Tamil Nadu, which is at least 1,000 year old, at least 1,000 year old. Now after the Dravidian philosophy started gaining traction here, the de-spiritualization process started. Then the state had gone to a level where a particular group thought it fit to put chapel on Lord Rama. So that is the level to which they have taken. So we have to understand why this shift happened, and why there are still some proponents in our state who believe in secession, who believe in a separate state, who mock a practicing religion, who mock a practicing culture, who somehow think a person who is practicing a culture that is essential to their way of life, in a way, if I put it, they might say that we are idiots. Now, this is the first important thing that we have to do, remove the popular misconception. That is a very important thing that is available right in front of you, which all of us have to do with a lot of sense of vigor. இதை முதல்ல செய்ய வேண்டிய கட்டாயத்தில் நம்ம நின்றுட்டு இருக்கிறோம். இந்த நம்முடைய கலாச்சாரத்தை மீட்டு கொண்டு வர வேண்டும் என்றால், நம்முடைய கலாச்சாரத்தை பற்றி முதல்ல நமக்கு தெரிஞ்சிருக்கணும். அதை எப்படி இவங்க திரித்து வேறு வேறு காலகட்டத்தில் எழுதியிருக்கின்றார்கள் என்பதை புரிந்து கொள்ள வேண்டும். அதற்கு நாம எக்ஸ்டென்சிவா டிராவல் பண்ணணும். So whenever you find time, you should make it a point to visit all parts of India. Since we are living in Tamil Nadu, நம்ம ஊர்ல இருக்கோம், எங்கெல்லாம் வாய்ப்பு கிடைக்கிறதோ நீங்க நேரம் எடுத்து மைண்ட் ஓபன் பண்ணி ஒரு சென்ஸ் ஆஃப் அவேர்னஸ்ல you should keep observing what is happening. Be it a temple, be it an archaeological finding, whatever it is, we have to find out what is that culture. Because a person who has written a book and that book becoming our textbook should not define how we think. நீங்க பாருங்க, இன்னைக்கு the way we think is, some writer sitting somewhere, probably belonging to a particular ideology, writes a book that becomes a textbook and taught to crores of children every year. You do it for 10 years, you can prove a cat is a dog is a tiger. தொடர்ந்து 10 ஆண்டுகள் இதே விஷயத்தை திரும்ப திரும்ப சொன்னீங்கன்னா ஒரு பூனை எடுத்துட்டு வந்து நாயின்னு சொல்லலாம், அதே வந்து புலின்னு சொல்லலாம். அதனால் நாம் இந்த ஜெனரேஷன்ல we have to go beyond textbooks. We got to travel, understand, research, think deeply, and connect to all these small places that is connected to our culture. Go there, get inspired. then probably forums like this, even a tea shop, even a marriage function, even a social gathering, நம்ம பேச ஆரம்பிக்க it will act as a catalyst. It will gain a currency of its own. Then the step one of busting the popular misconception will start happening right in front of our eyes. The great Jawaharlal Nehru, at one point of time, he was very fascinated. Even to write the Constitution of India, he wanted Edward Jennings. He said that he should write the Indian Constitution so that you can bring all the fancy ideas that he was used to. Probably when he was educated, he wanted Edward Jennings to come and write the Indian Constitution. Of many good things Mahatma Gandhi did, I think this is one of the greatest things that he did is, he stopped Nehru from calling Edward Jennings to write the Constitution of India. He said it is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar who should write. And maybe it's a tryst with destiny that B.R. Ambedkar ji wrote the Constitution of India, not Edward Jennings. அதன் பிறகுங்க நேரு அவர்கள் he called historian Arnold Toynbee to address the Azad Memorial Lecture. When it was an annual lecture series, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was the Prime Minister of our country. He invited him in 1960, Arnold Toynbee, to come and address this lecture. I am just quoting what Arnold Toynbee at that point of time said in his lecture in 1960. He said, Aurangzeb converted these temples with the deliberate intention of insulting his political opponents. The same intention which the Russians had in building the Orthodox Church in the center of Warsaw, Poland. So, என்ன சொல்றாங்க 1960 when the issue of Ram Temple was picking up, the old issue, after independence it was still continuing, when there was a lot of disputes about the Places of Worship Act, whether we should restrict it to only that, or we should go on reclaiming all the culture and civilizational glory that we have lost at different points of time. A victor deliberately insulting a practicing religion by putting up some structure because they wanted to convey a message. இந்த மாதிரி பல டிஸ்கஷன் இருக்கும் பொழுதுங்க, peak of the discussion in the Azad Memorial Lecture, he says Aurangzeb converted these temples with the deliberate intention of insulting his political opponents. Nehru, in his own wisdom, chose not to listen to the guest whom he invited in the first place to deliver the Azad Memorial Lecture. நீங்க பாருங்க, even the statue of George V, which was adorning Delhi, was not removed till Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's last breath. Remove பண்ணவே இல்லைங்க. அதை ஜவஹர்லால் நேரு அவர்கள் இறந்த பிறகு 1968 ஜார்ஜ் 5 was removed. அப்போ நம்ம ஆளுக்கு ஒரு சின்ன ஒரு பாசம், ஐயோ ஜார்ஜ் 5 போயிட்டாரு, ஆனா கேனப்பி அப்படியே வச்சுக்கலாம். You see how we are attached to lot of things that is absolutely foreign to us. 1968 George 5 was taken out, but canopy was standing there without anybody. Then it took our Narendra Modi ji step 2 to bring Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose to the same canopy to put it. So in the context நம்ம புரிஞ்சுக்கணும், it is very important. It is very important to understand the context. When Poland got absolute independence, or probably when it saved itself from the occupation, the first thing Warsaw people and Polish people did is, they broke the Russian Orthodox Church that is built in their country. They rebuilt it with Catholic Church, which is their practicing faith. Every country has done it. எல்லாரும் பண்ணிருக்காங்க. A victor, an aggressor who came, who put their symbol as a resistance for a long point of time. All over the world people did it. But India மாதிரி ஒரு நாடுல பாத்தீங்கன்னா, it was a very touchy subject. We were never willing to have a conversation or to go deep into it. However, even in the case of George V, remove only the statue, but the canopy should be there. At least canopy பார்த்து கொஞ்ச நாள் சந்தோஷமா இருக்கலாம். Then we have to bring Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose there. இப்ப பாருங்க, இன்னைக்கு ராமாயணா, a state like Tamil Nadu, January 22, even to watch Prana Pradishta, we have to go to Supreme Court in the middle of the night, get an order, and to say people can watch. ஆனா இன்னைக்கு நீங்க பாருங்க, the constitutional monarch of Thailand, the king is the constitutional monarch. He goes by different name. But the English title that is given to the constitutional monarch of Thailand is Rama. Any kings who come, who is the constitutional monarch, the name that is given to the king, the English name by which every other person outside Thailand will know, is Rama X அப்படிங்கிற title. Any king who comes. In fact, ராமாயணாவுடைய வெர்ஷன் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, Rama Kane is very popular, more like a national epic in Thailand. எல்லா பக்கம் நீங்க பாருங்க, look at all the East Asian culture. Small countries fighting vigorously to retain the culture. that probably that culture also went to those countries from our country. நம்ம ஊர்ல இருந்து அங்க போச்சுங்க. ஆனா இங்க the celebration of Ramayana or celebration of Mahabharata, possibly in a state like Tamil Nadu, they think is very alien. இதுதான் very very important part of part number 2, where we know our culture, we understand where we are, we try to rebuild it. இப்ப part 3 குள்ள போறோங்க, restoring our culture. That is what is happening now. Now we are trying to restore the bits and pieces. We are trying to restore whatever we have lost and trying to bring it to our national consciousness. Now, you look at what Honorable Prime Minister has done over the last maybe 9, now in the 10th year. Taking yoga. Now yoga, International Yoga Day is 1. Now yoga being practiced on June 21 last year across 192 all signatories of United Nations. Gaining popular imagination. Trying to understand mind, body, soul connect through yoga. Now this is the very essence of our civilization. Yoga exhibits how our mind, body and spirit, everything is aligned together when we live a life of detachment. இன்னைக்கு இது போதுங்க. இன்னைக்கு our Prime Minister has reimagined again the north-south, whatever the artificial divide is created. Kasi Tamil Sangamam, Saurashtra Tamil Sangamam, the second year of Kasi Tamil Sangamam, first year of Telugu Sangamam, the first year of Yuva Shakti Sangamam. Now all these things are started because it is important we have to cement our culture, not only busting the myth, not only knowing, but putting the culture in action. அது நீங்க காசி தமிழ் சங்கமம், I don't know how many people had the opportunity to come and visit. நீங்க வந்து பார்த்துட்டீங்கன்னா தெரியும், தமிழ்நாட்டில் இருக்கக்கூடிய எல்லா ஃபோக் ஆர்டிஸ்ட், பெர்ஃபார்மிங் ஆர்டிஸ்ட், தெருக்கூத்திலிருந்து பரதநாட்டியம் வரை நம்முடைய எல்லா நாடகங்கள், கலைகள், கிராமத்தில் இருக்கக்கூடிய கலைகள் ஒன்றொன்றையும் எடுத்து சென்று காசி தமிழ் சங்கத்தினுடைய மேடையில அவங்க பெர்ஃபார்ம் பண்ணாங்க. Because this is one way to make sure, right from Ramakatha to every single art and form, even some art and form that is present only in a village, that is present only in an area like Kongu area. You go to Kongu area, you see Vallikumi. Or you go to some other parts of Tamil Nadu, maybe that art form is present only in that particular part of that area. Every single thing was catalogued, given an opportunity over 7-8 days, and given an opportunity to present because the next generation knows this is there, this is part of my culture, and this is not allowed to die down. இன்னைக்கு நீங்க பத்மா விருதுகள்லாம் பாருங்க, பத்ம விபூஷன், பத்ம பூஷன் and பத்ம ஸ்ரீ. Close to 50-60% is given for arts, culture, performing arts and performing culture. 50-60% of விருது அங்கதாங்க கொடுக்குறாங்க. Or 20% சினிமாக்கு போயிருக்கு. Rest has gone for social service. Over a point of time, we were very particular. Art, culture, this is the very essence of being a Bharatiya. இதுதான் நம்முடைய essence, because that is where the stories get told. It is not a textbook. Like Madam said, Vaijayanti Madam, Bali Madam வந்து எனக்கு சொல்லி கொடுத்தாங்க. Now I am teaching to our sister. Now this is where essentially the story goes from generation to generation. There is no somebody inside to interpret and write a textbook and bring it to a school so that you understand this is the truth, gospel truth. So art and culture, especially art, performing art, it carries the popular culture from generation to generation without distortion. அது இன்னைக்கு காசி தமிழ் சங்கமம், சௌராஷ்டிரா தமிழ் சங்கமம் போன்ற விஷயங்கள் நம்ம செய்யறோம். G20 மாநாடு பார்த்திருப்பீங்க. Previously, what is the gift you used to give? You must have seen the Honorable Prime Minister giving gifts to all the delegates of G20. என்ன கொடுத்தாருங்க? காஞ்சிபுரம் ஸ்டோல்ல இருந்து, ஷால்ல இருந்து, சாரியில இருந்து ஆரம்பிச்சு ஊட்டி டீல இருந்து இந்தியால ஜியோகிராபிக்கல் இண்டிகேட்டர் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு பொருளையும் தேடி கண்டுபிடித்து whoever came, it was given to them because they should know this is part of our culture, part of being a Bharatiya. And the very first time G20 was taken outside the national capital, Delhi ki veliyanga, 198 functions across close to 100 venues. If they come to Kanjipuram G20 or Mahabalipuram, the food has to reflect that particular area. It's very important. Food is also different. Tamil Nadu மட்டும் நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா 150க்கும் மேற்பட்ட அரிசி வகைகள் இருக்கு. அன்னைக்கு இத்தனை பேர் நாம இருக்கோம். We go to a supermarket, we say give me a bag of rice or give me a jasmine rice or give me a basmati rice. இதுதான் வாங்குறோம். 150க்கும் மேற்பட்ட அரிசி வகைகள் நம்முடைய ஒரு மாநிலத்துல மட்டுமே இருக்கு. நெல் ஜெயராமன் ஐயா போன்றவர்கள் எத்தனையோ அரிசி வகைகளை மீட்டு கொடுத்திருக்காங்க. So this is also part of being a Bharatiya. உங்க ஊர்ல, உங்க பக்கத்துல, உங்க தண்ணியில, உங்க சாயில்ல, உங்க பாடிக்கு ஏற்பட இருக்கக்கூடிய அரிசியை நீங்க சாப்பிடணும். It should not travel more than 10 kilometers, 50 kilometers, 70 kilometers. Now it is all becoming a supermarket oriented. This is also we have to declutter. So G20 என்ன எஃபர்ட்டுங்க, எங்க போறாங்களோ அந்த ஊரை சாப்பிடணும், உணவு சாப்பிடணும். So right to that level, they have detailed. The G20 not only is taken out of Delhi, the detailed and execution was so perfect to the last point. Wherever the G20 conference or youth summit or any other summit that was happening connected to G20, it was reflecting the ethos of that particular. The beauty of Bharatiya, isn't it? This is the beauty of being a Bharatiya. We are so diverse, but we are so united. Every other country will fight, balkanization will happen, they'll split. But எவ்வளவுக்கு எவ்வளவு டைவர்ஸா இருக்கிறோமோ அவ்வளவுக்கு we have united. அடுத்து பாருங்க, the Prime Minister has made an effort, especially with respect to our Tamil culture, statue of Thiruvalluvar in France, Houston, Tamil chair in Houston University, or Lord Mahakavi Bharatiyar அவருடைய ஒரு இருக்கை வந்து காசியில பெனாரஸ் இந்து பல்கலைக்கழகத்துல. So he keeps doing all these things because everybody from other parts of India should know who lived in other parts of India and who is important to our culture. இதெல்லாம் பாருங்க எவ்வளவு கேர்ஃபுல்லா ஸ்டெப் நம்பர் 3 our honorable Prime Minister is executing to perfection. காசி விஸ்வநாத் காரிடாரா இருக்கட்டுங்க, மகாகால் காரிடாரா இருக்கட்டும், கர்தாப்பூர் சாஹித் காரிடாரா இருக்கட்டும், இந்தியா அண்ட் பாகிஸ்தான், or the inauguration of Mata Sharada Devi temple in Kashmir are kuttunga. So everything is bringing our culture back in a form that we need it now. So if we travel outside the country, not only we are restoring our culture inside the country. Next Sri Lanka ponga. So there are Ishwaran temples across 5 corners of Sri Lanka. Ravana avanga kattana koil. Now we are restoring one after the other all the 5 temples around Sri Lanka. Tiruketishwaram is restored by the government of India's grant. It is gifted to the people of Sri Lanka as a grant from India. அது பண்ணியாச்சுங்க. அடுத்து திருக்கோணேஸ்வரத்தை நோக்கி நம்முடைய அரசு சென்று கொண்டிருக்கிறது. So not only are we doing it in our country, we are also going outside the country. Now this is step number 4, where we talk about not only practicing but also bridging and popularizing. வெளிய எடுத்துட்டு போறோம். Now we all have to understand at a very important point of time in India's history, very important point of time in India's history, the next 25 years is going to be very important moment, because right now the popular misconception we have broken. We are reimagining our culture, we are taking it to the masses, and more importantly we are expanding and bridging it. இது இப்ப நடக்க ஆரம்பிச்சிருச்சுங்க. So that is the point we are living in. கொஞ்சம் இந்த நேரத்துல பாத்தீங்கன்னா the resistance is also quite high, because the forces that was operating till now, இத்தனை ஆண்டுகளாக எந்த பிரச்சனை இல்லாம ரெசிஸ்டன்ஸ் இல்லாம இருந்த forces எல்லாம், now they have to unite together. Naturally they all have to unite together. They all have to come and attack. They all have to come and say no, this is Hindutva, no, this is something, this is RSS version of India's culture. So this is the time when we as citizens, we start having small conversations, not big conversations. Some of the eminent people who are sitting in the front row, sitting here, they do their duty by having big conversations. Television studio la, periya forathla, in front of 10,000 people they speak. But to get this thing done, it is important the small conversation happens in millions and crores. Rendu per, family kulla, society kulla, college kulla, canteen kulla, or a book launch function la. The small conversations 10 people, 15 people should have among themselves by saying, look, this is happening. Look, this is my temple. Look, there is an important archaeological, historical place here. This is the connection. Look, and even when we invite our friends, if at all you have to suggest a good tourist place outside Chennai to your friend. Yesterday our Padayatra 195th constituency was in Kanchipuram. Uttarameru, உங்களுக்கு பார்த்திருப்பீங்க, அங்க தான் பக்கத்துல இருக்குது. So you go there, you see a Kulothunga Chola times inscription there, 10th century, 1100 years before. Small village kind of town, 3 rivers surrounding that village, very beautiful, very pristine, very serene place. If you have the time to go to that Vaikuntavasi Varadaraja Perumal temple, Kulothunga Cholan has put inscriptions around that temple. You just have to take their time to observe. He has put 3 inscriptions about how elections should be conducted. We are talking of 1100 years before. The first inscription talks about who can contest an election. The second inscription talks about how election should be conducted. The third inscription talks about after a person is elected, how can you remove him? So 3 things. If you have the time to go and read it, you'll be so fascinated. The concept of democracy, 1100 years back, he has etched it there. Probably when we are shifting from Mannarachi to Makkalachi, when that shift was happening at different points in our country, in Bharat, he has put it. Now I will just take a couple of minutes to explain what is written in that inscription. You will feel so beautiful. Now suddenly they talk about India's constitution was copied from so many people. We have taken inspiration from Ireland. We have taken inspiration from Britain, and so many things they talk. They say a person who has to be in political life has to enter politics after 30. Until 70, he has to be in politics. And the whole place is divided into 30 wards. Each ward will have one elected member. A person can become an elected member only once in their lifetime. Only once. And the period is exactly 360 days. 360th day you are outside. Once you are in public life, one time, getting the member of that ward, you can never stand for election in your life. And on the point, they had 5 different variums there. A temple varium, a canal varium, a garden varium. So you are a member of a varium for 1 year. There is a 3-year cooling off period. Then you can become a member of what? So which means in your life, you can be a member of varium once. You can be a member of ward once. There are 35 crimes they have mentioned. If you have committed any of those crimes in your lifetime, you can never contest for election. And after you have won the election, they have listed another 17 misdemeanors. You have done the 17 mistakes by being a representative of public. Then you will be kind of impeached. So there's 3 inscriptions very beautifully, the fulcrum of democracy. Just about 1.5 hours from here in Kanchipuram districts, you go there, you read it, you come. In the mari chinna chinna edathukku நம்ம குழந்தைகளை கூட்டிட்டு போவோம். Not Disney World, not this பேர் சொன்னா அப்புறம் மேல டிஃபமேஷன் சூட்லாம் போட்டுருவாங்க. Not this place where some snow is there, not some big malls. So not those places, small places around us. Take our children there, show them, make them to read, connect them to our culture. Then they understand, oh, the essence of Bharatiya means that we have to be democratic in nature. And being democratic in nature doesn't mean shutting down somebody's voice. And being democratic in nature means, so they will understand everything, we got to be spiritual. And every single thing, when we take our children to places, make them to connect, make them to read, make them to listen, I think we groom them for the next. We travel less. As Indians, we somehow have the feeling we are traveling more. No, we are traveling very less. Our forefathers traveled more. Catching an airplane, landing in Delhi, attending a conference, catching an airplane, coming back to Chennai doesn't mean we are traveling more. So this generation is only clocking air miles, or probably clocking train miles. But we are a very poor generation in terms of traveling. அப்ப நாம ஒரு சாய்தி பக்கம் வச்சுக்கிட்டு முன்னாடி இருக்கக்கூடிய நல்ல மனிதர்கள் எல்லாம் அமர்ந்திருக்கிறாங்க. There is our very eminent friend. Every day you see him in the TV talking very loudly about our civilization, our glory, our culture. So இவங்களுக்கு நாம ஹெல்ப் பண்ணணும், சப்போர்ட் பண்ணணும். To accelerate their thought process, it is important as Indians we have to travel more. We are not traveling. And for us the concept of holiday is take, even within India, go there, book a nice resort, relax, some sightseeing, some beach, maybe what is that, they take this parachute kind of thing there and go down and they say I had a good holiday. Ramba tappu pandranga. I think we are making a big mistake to our children if we think that is a holiday we are giving. Take them to a place, make them to eat a local food. அந்த ஊருடைய கம்பு சாதம், அந்த ஊருடைய சோள சாதம், அந்த ஊருடைய மில்லட்ஸ், அந்த ஊருடைய ராகி. நான் ஏற்கனவே சொன்னது போல 150க்கு மேற்பட்ட ரைஸ் வெரைட்டியில ஒரு ரைஸ் வெரைட்டி அந்த ஊர்ல கண்டுபிடிச்சு அங்க இருக்கக்கூடிய நேச்சுரல் ஃபுட்டை ஒரு எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ், ஒரு எக்ஸ்ப்ளோரேஷன் அந்த குழந்தைக்கு. So when the children comes back, he will keep, or he or she will keep thinking, oh, some new thing. He will come and tell somebody in the school, நான் எங்க போனேன் தெரியுமா? இப்ப ஸ்கூல்ல சில்ட்ரன் என்னங்க பேசுறாங்க? நான் ஸ்மோக்கிங் இடம் போனேன் தெரியுமா? நான் டிசி வேர்ல்டு போனேன் தெரியுமா? நான் இங்க போனேன் தெரியுமா? அங்க போனேன் தெரியுமா? So let us make a conscious effort to think like a Bharatiya. Take us outside the shell. Consciously travel more. Connect to all the historical places. Accelerate the thought process of Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji, who thinks this is the time to grow with our cultural intact. So kandipa adu nadakungura periya nambikkai enakku irukkuங்க. So this is very important event because Ahuti is not only into performing space, but today or maybe multiple days they have decided, let us have a forum like this, invite people, make them to talk what they think, bring young minds here, award some prizes also for children who have done some good work, and probably spread this word, accelerate the process, so that we become a true Bharatiya, maybe in the near times, we are talking of not even 20, 25 years later, in the near times. With this, I thank Sister Sivasri for the great opportunity that she has given me to come here and sharing stage with my dear friend Sai Deepak. And we are very, very sure we are on the cusp of change. Even Tamil Nadu is on the cusp of change. We just have to wait till 2024. We just have to wait till 2024. The elections in 2024 will be a proof that our state will give a decisive mandate. So whatever they have spoken over a long point of time, so let us be patient, let us keep doing that groundwork without any expectation, so that our future generations will live a great life. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Jai Shri Ram. Vanakkam and Namaskaram. My mind is actually bursting with thoughts and possibilities, especially after hearing this man speak. I'm usually known for speaking extempore. I never go with any kind of preparation because I believe 24/7 is the preparation mode. I don't prepare for any event. But the number of ideas that kept bursting in my head when he was talking, my template was one, he's just multiplied it. So let me thank Shivashri for giving me an opportunity to share space with Kamaraj 2.0. In 2022, I think I had the opportunity to call him Tamil Nadu Tamarai. Kamaraj 2.0, why? One, because it's time that Bharat had the third Prime Minister from the South. But before that, Tamil Nadu pudicha and the Putrino in 1967, adu modala vizhiyanum. That virus that has gripped the holy state of Tamil Nadu, this dharmic land, needs to be eradicated first. Kalam, Samayam, time has finally given us this option. I request the Dharmikas in Tamil Nadu, the Hindus of Tamil Nadu, to throw their weight behind this man. I'm making this public. It is now or never. This is a do or die battle. 2026 Anju Pushkaram, 60 years mudinjirukkom since 1967. It is time to take a decision. You have to mean business. Every vote matters. Every middle class vote, every thinking vote must not think of it as a holiday, must go out in the sun and do whatever is necessary. We are just 2 years away. This was not meant to be a political speech, but unfortunately our land has been heavily politicized, our religion has been politicized. I am left with no other option but to speak about this bluntly. When we speak of think like a Bharatiya, and since he has touched upon the topic of secularism, I'm happy he's actually done that. over the last 3 years, something tectonic has taken place, and I think it's important for people to take note of it. I'm speaking in Tamil primarily because there's a YouTube audience that's watching, rather in English because there's a YouTube audience that's watching. And ennoda Tamil sila perukku pidikadhu. One, decolonization has finally entered Indian political discourse, and that's a fantastic victory. The tragedy is that this conversation should have started in 1947, and it has started in 2020s. No other post-colonial independent society can boast of this kind of prolonged mental slavery. Ever. I know what people like me have gone through in Tamil Nadu. I've witnessed it on campuses. I've suffered the consequences of it. But the only promise and sankalpam I made to myself is that I will never become a jati activist. I will speak for the community as a whole. I have no pretensions or delusions of becoming a leader at all under any circumstances or a representative, but I will certainly ensure that every ounce of my energy and brain is used to support people like him. Because I think it's time we did away with the concept of politicians and we think of thinking leaders. This is what we want. People who understand the concept of Rajadharmam. That is crucial. That takes me to the concept of secularism, because anybody who understands the history of secularism will tell you that secularism is political conversion. Its job is to sever your roots, your connection with your roots. Its entire purpose is to make sure that you forget your past. And it becomes the new religion, because humankind cannot survive without religion. Therefore, secularism has become the new religion, unfortunately. The purpose of these tools is to ensure that you forget one of the most important, let's say, concept in the life of dharmikas, which is pitris, ancestors, your people, your forefathers. That is why I call it political conversion, because conversion requires you to spit on your past and to embrace a new identity that's completely antagonistic to your earlier identity. Hence, it is political conversion. Knowing fully well that this would be the problem, that it's a time bomb that's going to burst itself on a regular basis against the indigenous community, the framers of the Constitution chose not to use the word secularism as part of the preamble at all. All those fears, all those apprehensions have been vindicated with time to our detriment. To our detriment. There was a time when there was a different kind of a procession taken out of the Kanchi Matham in 2004. Finally, this man has gone to Kanchi. As a proud follower of the Kanchi Matham, I am super happy. Think like a Bharatiya. You can't think like a Bharatiya as long as you embrace secularism, is my humble submission. It is cognitive dissonance. If you think like a Bharatiya and also wear secularism as a badge of honor, you can't. They are incompatible. They are mutually destructive. And they're mutually exclusive. Tamil Nadukku vidimoksham kadakira varaikum Bharathukku vidimoksham kadakkyadu. People like Dushyant Sridhar and others will continue to do what they will do on a public platform. But until this becomes a social, cultural revolution, don't expect people like him to fight this battle alone. It is impossible for us to survive and come out unscathed in this battle unless and until you realize that it is not your job anymore to simply outsource even your cultural battles to the politician. Because this battle is being waged on your streets, in restaurants, in movie theaters. Dare I say more? I can. And the worst part is this cancer has entered the rest of the South. Bhakti should have been the biggest export of Tamil Nadu. This Dravidianist cancer is being exported to the rest of the South. In my living memory, I have never seen a separatist sentiment being expressed on the Dharmika state of Karnataka ever. Even that has happened because the way this cancer enters is actually true and consistent to its origins, which is cinema, which is art. So that's how it has entered Telangana and Andhra Pradesh through movies. That's how it has entered Karnataka. Kerala, of course, never needed it because it has its own cancer. Parashurama Kshetram should have been known for a different red. It is being known for a different red. So the point is, this civilization is a dharmic civilization. Own it, embrace it, be proud of it. That is fundamentally decolonization. If someone says, does it mean that we should embrace everything about the past? When every time I speak of decolonization, I get this nonsensical statement, I'm forced to say, does it mean that you have to spit on your past? No, you don't have to. These are not binaries. Anyone who chooses to focus exclusively on the problems of the past is not a well-wisher of this civilization because according to him, there is nothing positive worth being discussed. You have to look at the entire history of the civilization as a whole. It's not a monolith. And this civilization is called a civilization thanks to the scale of its diversity. So the realities, the political realities, the jati realities, the economic realities have been different in different parts of the country, but we are all painted with the same brush. So my suggestion to you is, we will keep doing this intellectual nonsense because that's a battle that has to be fought at a certain level. But what is it that you can do if you have to think like a Bharatiya? Drawing from Mr. Annamalai's speech. 1. Temple tourism in Tamil Nadu must boom. Repopulate our temples. Take back those spaces. Support all temple communities, the operative word being all. Use the temple to unite people. Use the temple to educate people. Bring them out of perpetual victimhood. Oh, is it too sensitive a comment? Sorry? Adhu nadakum. Wait for it. It will happen. Today, our temples are held ransom by an ideology that has vowed destruction of our religion, has taken an oath for it. And they're being true to their political masters who are within and outside the country. The links go far beyond Bharat and they've entered Europe. So you have to realize the magnitude of the problem that people like Annamalai face. These battles cannot be contested alone. I have no political affiliation whatsoever. I can say this bluntly with him being on the stage. My affiliation, my fealty, my loyalty is to my community, to my dharma, period. And precisely because I see a representative of dharma in him, I will support him. It is absolutely crucial that we understand the challenges. There are a lot of issues and deliverables that are entirely within our control. The first suggestion was going to the temple. There are Sardarjis, members of the Sikh community who sing in Tamil, in Kumarangundam and other places. I've seen that happen. That is the unity of this land. Char Dham Yatra is impossible without coming to the south, and Sikhs also perform the Char Dham Yatra. The utter nonsense that is being peddled about this community is a direct consequence of our ignorance. In the age of internet, none of us has the excuse for being ignorant at all. You think it's easy for somebody like Dushan Sridhar to wear the Tripunda and go to the television and face all the people from the D-stocks? The kind of hatred, the kind of poison, the kind of bile that is being hurled at people like him is unbelievable. How do these people function? Not on your support, but because of their inner spiritual core. Because most people think it's easy for people like him and I to take these positions because there is some popular support. None of you is going to be available. Your intention may be to protect us, but you cannot be available all the time. So the point is not to protect us, but to start finding replacements for us. Keep creating them. These can't be personality-driven movements. Learn one thing from the Asura. Whenever you think of tapas, you think of the Asura, because Asura tapas is unbelievable. Because when they commit themselves to something, they latch on to it. I learn from the Devas as well as the Asuras. I'm very clear about it. We must start looking at producing Raktabija Devas. Every drop of blood in the land of Sanatana Dharma must create more Dharmika warriors. Over the last few weeks, knowing fully well what kind of a sensitive area Jati as a topic is, I have decided to embrace the cactus by talking about it. Because it is important for us to have these conversations. The more you shy away from these conversations, you make them taboo topics, somebody else is going to appropriate it. Somebody else with a vested interest is going to appropriate it. There will never be a conversation with honesty. And with honesty does not mean to deny everything that has happened, but also to say, please don't exaggerate. And also remember that it is meant to bring us together. If the purpose of the conversation is to divide us further, then it is fundamentally a bad faith engagement. It is a dishonest conversation. It's a motivated, malicious conversation. And that is what happens every time we touch this topic. Every incident is a potential entry point for the mischievous Dravidianist. He is waiting for it. So I would request you to use these platforms, these fora, and these institutions as a moment of societal churn. I know I'm in no position to make these suggestions, but I hope that I can make this to somebody like Sivashree, that even our concerts during Margari Masam must carry an important message. It cannot be just a Katha Kalakshepam or a pure cultural event, because none of our classical arts are being, let's say, kept away from this political conversation. Every institution, whether it is dedicated to Bharatanatyam or not, is now under the attack from the left. It's being taken over. Bharata Muni will not be taught in these places, apparently. Bharata Muni will not be taught in an institution which is dedicated to Bharatanatyam, is the scene of the Tamil Nadu of 2020s. And whoever wants to teach Bharata Muni's Bharatanatyam and Natya Shastra is being kicked out as a Hindutva fascist Sanghi. Imagine to what extent we have come down. When your arts are being taken away, remember the one final pure strand that is left between your culture, your past and your present is sought to be severed and corrupted fully. You can't let that happen. You can't let that happen. But don't go ahead with the victimhood complex. The difference between the Dravidianists and us is that go confidently out for engagement, and your outreach must be genuine to all affected parties. Let opinions change. It's not going to be an easy battle. But I can say this with confidence. I say this with confidence. Nobody can accuse me of being different about my identity, jati or religion-wise. And I have not seen my identity or opinion be a barrier when I'm engaging with confidence with people from my community, which is the Hindu community. Across the board. I've had people come and speak, explain their position, genuinely express a way to bridge this gap. This is not to my credit. I am saying that there is a willing audience out there, provided you show it in action. You cannot read the, what is that? I don't want to name the newspaper anymore, because it's not what it's meant to be. It is the antithesis of its name. the Sri Maha Mao of Mount Road. Find a way to get on the ground. You have only 3 ways of contributing to this battle. None of which is to just earn your livelihood and get out with it. Not happening. It's not happening anymore. You have to participate. Financially, what can you do? Culturally, what can you do? Intellectually, what can you do? Spiritually, what can you do? And if you have the ability, politically, what can you do? I understand that politics is not everybody's cup of tea, but everything else is within your remit. It's possible for you to do it. It has come to a point where I'm being asked, are there no Hindus left in Tamil Nadu? That's the question that's coming from North India, or India of the North. This question has started coming. There are no reactions. Anybody says anything. There is absolutely no expression of discontent or displeasure whatsoever when people trample all over you like human doormats. If this is incitement, so be it. I am inciting you to action. I am inciting you to action. A different kind of direct action where you actually go onto the ground and engage with people from your community. It is crucial. These 25 years will define and decide what shall be the way of the future post 2047. This is a battleground generation. Never before in the history of the last 400 to 500 years have we been presented with an option where you actually are in a position to speak with a unified political Bharat. You were speaking with different princely states at one point. You finally have a politically unified Bharat, which was always civilizationally one. One, you have a politically unified Bharat. Then you have been given democratic ways of communication where you're no more dependent on the mainstream media with its own vested ideological interests. Social media has made possible the reach of voices like all of them. Who would have thought at one point that someone coming from Annamalai's background would be able to aspire for the best positions that this country's political system has to offer? This is a sign of change. This is a sign of change. When somebody has to go to court to prevent the viewing of Prana Pratishtha, it's a sign of desperation. It is darkness at its highest position, and that's where the resistance starts. When it is darkest, that's when there is sense of hope, because effectively he's exhausted all his arsenal. His ammunition is over. He has nothing more to offer. While I practice in Delhi, I make this abundantly clear. Oru kaal inga kandipa irukum. Because this is the time. Those who were associated with the Ram Janmabhoomi movement will tell you the significance of what I'm about to say. Ek dhakka aur do. Every structure that is anti-dharmic must crumble. And the Overton window must change. This must become the new normal, making it impossible for anybody to take the situation back. Impossible. Thanks to what has happened over the last decade, anyone who doesn't perform on the anvils of economics will not be an acceptable option anymore. Since 2014 to 2024, that is the change. Jai Shri Ram has become a national sentiment. In the land of Ramsamy, Jai Shri Ram is back. They will all be forced to confront it. 3, don't underestimate the will and the commitment and the venom of the other side. They know no boundaries, they have no standards. The definition of standard is lost on them. The concept of decency and courtesy is lost on them. That's the kind of people you're dealing with. They have no respect for women. They are the last one to speak of feminism. They shouldn't hold forth on feminism at all. None of them know how to respect women whatsoever. They shouldn't be allowed to get away with this. I know I've upset the entire script I had in mind. But such is the effect that he has in terms of upsetting the established order. I thought I'll at least stick to the script I wrote and scribbled. I couldn't. Grama Devatas and Kula Devatas are the battlegrounds, by the way. Please go back to them. Revive your Grama Devatas and Kula Devatas at the very least. Because the divide that they are hoping to succeed in is to divide temples from Grama Devatas and Kula Devatas and say, no, these are two different strands altogether. One has got nothing to do with Sanatana Dharma, and this is all some Brahmin conspiracy. Please embrace those deities. I know for a fact that my own in-laws have Ayyanar as the Kula Devata, which means they also serve meat and toddy. That's what these idiots don't understand. They won't understand. Every temple has a paddhati. Whatever the temple says, we will do it. Period. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me what is the origin of the priest. If the priest is a priest in a particular place of worship, you will surrender to his diktats as far as that institution is concerned. Break these silos. Since actions speak louder than words, the most powerful impact which the other side dreads is the repopulation of even the street temples, the unknown temples. Because Madurai Meenakshi will always get crowds. What about other temples? What about other temples? Go back to those temples, forge your sense of community, which is the one thing lacking in this community, and that's haunted us for thousands of years now. And our definitions of community are in micro definitions. Let us assume for a moment that I accept the reality that these micro definitions cannot be done away with because they have withstood the test of time for thousands of years. I can only make one point. Respect every micro identity. Treat everybody with respect. Because if you don't do that, respect will be replaced by dangerous victimhood complex. When you do that, when you take every profession seriously, you'll realize that all the professions which were in the hands of our communities, which have been lost to others, can be reclaimed. Otherwise, they'll come and live like destitutes in cities. It's not as if Chennai has the ability to accommodate everyone who comes here. It doesn't have the resources for it. And since they know for a fact that their professions will not be respected in the places of their origin, they have no other option but to get out of the place. One is a loss of dignity, the second is a loss of opportunity. We have to address both. And that will happen when you start going back to these places, when they realize that there is more footfall. So revisiting your places of worship is not just about religion, it's equally about economics. Go to Ayodhya and you will be surprised at the infrastructure development there. I am someone who believes in respecting sanctity first and ensuring that infrastructure organizes itself around that respect for the sacred space. I don't believe in corridorification at the expense of the sacred space, but I believe both of them can go hand in hand with a sense of balance. In Ayodhya, you will not believe for a moment some of those roads, most of those roads are better than Chennai's roads actually. And Bharatiyas know how to maintain infrastructure. The self-loathing thought that we don't know how to maintain infrastructure, Delhi Metro has been running fantastically since 2004. It's among the best in the world. Washington is really terrible, even in terms of its metro system. Delhi is brilliant. This is happening across the country. So when someone tells you you don't know the value of economics, you don't know the value of maintaining infrastructure, that you are not clean fundamentally, address each of these aspects. These are fundamental deliverables where he and I don't need to play a role. We have no business playing a role in that. We can only tell you, this is the big picture, find your places within. Some of these battles, it's for you to embrace. I don't want to say anything further. I'll take questions from the audience for at best 10 minutes, assuming we have the time for it. 5 minutes? Fair enough. Yes, shall we hand over the mic so that it's recorded? Otherwise, I'll be accused of scripting the interview.
I think we'll go with lots of students first, please.
Yeah, I would want to give students an opportunity first.
Hello. First of all, it's an absolute honor to meet both of my heroes in real life. One would be a question exclusively for you. Another would be both of you and Annamalai Anna together, because I don't know if I'll get an opportunity again. First is, since we're in Mylapore, do you think there is credence to the fact that Mylapore temple's original location is something else? And if that's true, do you think it's possible for us to get it back? Second question, just one moment, for Annamalai Anna and you together. As you know, Anna, concurrent list, item 28, is religious
HRC.
endowments.
Yeah, got it.
Why doesn't the central government, which has the power right now with an absolute majority, enact a law where they bring in temples not just for Tamil Nadu but for all of India? Since Anna keeps saying that the first signature would be to remove the HR&C ministry.
Right.
Thank you so much.
So, the temple reclamation question and the temple management question are two different aspects. So let me try and address one of them, and I'll hand it over to Mr. Annamalai. First, when we wanted one, they said nothing doing. Now when we're asking for the other with evidence, they're saying nothing doing. So when somebody displays that kind of intransigence, I will say then my position of minimalism has no value. Let me now have no limits on my ask at all. At all. So when I dropped the figure of 40,000 over the last 2 weeks, people went on fire. Oh, what did he say? Barnaal Matama vittu poche. Eppadi 40,000 enga irundhu? Are 3 kodutha nee vandu edhum illa nu solra. Sir na 40,000 kekkuren. Because anyway your answer is going to be sunna. Zero. If your answer is a zero, then I have no other option but to take a maximalist position. 2, okay, let me ask a different kind of Dravidinist argument right now. I'll present that argument. Why haven't any of these people said, why only temples of the north? Kashi, Mathura and Ayodhya? What about the temples of the south? They are apparently batting for the southerners, right? If they were Hindutva southerners, they should be saying, why only 3 temples of the north? What about other temples? Because they have decided for us that these are the holiest of our places. Okay, so if Madurai Meenakshi had been under occupation, would we not have asked for it? Absolutely. If Srirangam had been under occupation, you wouldn't have asked for it? Let someone tell me that Srirangam isn't among the holiest of our shrines. I dare them. Let them say Madurai Meenakshi is not. If Sabrimala was under occupation, would you not take it back? That's it. In a community that has 51 Shaktipithas, 108 Divyadesams, 12 Jyotirlingas, what do you mean by 3 holiest of our shrines? Every community has its own holy shrine or holiest of shrines. I'm a Shaivite. For me, what is more important? As much as Ayodhya is important, Kashi is important, and if Chidambaram had been under occupation, that's equally important for me. Who are these people who are deciding for us to say, no, now that you want everything, limit it to 3? On what basis do you decide? When you you have a grand position is, Hinduism is not even centralized. Then how do you decide that 3 of these places are the holiest? If it is decentralized, then the argument has to be decentralized. Let the owners and the claimants of each of those temples decide for themselves. You don't decide for it. 2, when someone says, wouldn't this lead to some kind of a conflict and all that? They said this about 370. They said this about Rama. So every time it's a subtle thread that is being dropped. I'm saying, enough. Okay? Now this won't work anymore. The community has awakened. They've seen through all of this, and the evidence is right in front of your eyes, and your attitudes are also right in front of people's eyes. Enough is enough. The Supreme Court basically said that even the occupier for centuries will be given land despite having lost the case. That is the most magnanimous ask that you can get from the highest constitutional court of the country. I'm saying I'm willing to propose even that. Somebody asked for 5 villages once. I'm giving you 5 acres now. You don't want this. Consequences will follow. Time will decide. The master accountant is always time. It is a Kala Chakram. It will keep coming back, and our time is now. Second, entry 28, I agree with you. I have said this in articles, I've said this in speeches. I think it's important for us to start forming a broader consensus. Since this ask has been limited to a select few people or select individuals, it has remained a storm in a teacup. My suggestion to you will be this. Strengthen his hands by making the temple freedom movement a Hindu movement and not the movement of one particular community in Tamil Nadu. I'm not saying that anybody is limiting it to one particular community, but the perception needs to change, and I certainly think people who are working for it are working towards it. But the other side constantly says, no, this is effectively a clique of a particular community that is interested in restoring its domination and supremacy. Address that. Don't run away from it. It's important to address that. Start the outreach. The legal battle will be fought. The gentleman who represented Sri Ram Lalla in the Ayodhya case, Sri C.S. Vaidyanathan, is the one who's leading us in the battle. I am second in command. So we are in very safe hands, and those pair of hands belong to Sri C.S. Vaidyanathan. Remember that. People may not be aware of it, therefore it becomes my duty to inform people of this. Sri R. Venkatramani, who is the current Attorney General, was previously part of the team. He was at par with Mr. C.S. Vaidyanathan representing this matter. And then he became the Attorney General. So according to me, the stars are positioned in the right place. Please.
Dear brother, you all know why you have asked this question. Normally, this thought process comes when there is a mismanagement. When something is not right, something is not managed the way it is supposed to be managed. And the Tamil Nadu HRNC Act is time tested by the Supreme Court at different points of time, especially in the case of Chidambaram Dikshidash issue, multiple cases. Now, visibly among the public, even a common man who is sitting in a tea stall will say, temples are mismanaged. Why I am saying this? In the last 3 days, if you have had the time to scan the newspaper, பார்த்துருந்தீங்கன்னா தெரியும், பழனி கோவில்ல அறளைத்துறை விற்கக்கூடிய பஞ்சாமிர்தம் அறளைத்துறை ஸ்டாலில் நேற்று காலையில் கெட்டுப்போன பஞ்சாமிர்தத்தை விற்கிறாங்க. Just one story in the newspaper yesterday. Day before yesterday in Avadi, in a temple run by HRNCE for the Lord, 8 சவரன் நகையை ஒருத்தர் எடுத்துட்டாங்க. யார் எடுத்தாங்கன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா பார்ட் டைம் அர்ச்சகா, not a full time, part time archaka, part time teacher, part time nurse, mari part time archaka. The recent audit statement of Tiruchendur Muruga temple says 5,309 cows are missing. Adha nama kodutha cow kaanam pochu. And in the audit report they have written, we don't know where the cow is. So idu onnu. 1986 HRNC affidavit in High Court, 2024 what they claim, we have lost 2 lakh acres of land belonging to temple. So neenga overall pathina, there is a very fit case to say that temples are being thoroughly mismanaged as one. Second is disturbing the faith and the cultural process. This is the second process. This is where you get disturbed more. Prana Pratisthai. For a temple that is not run by HRNC in Kanchipuram, the finance minister is sitting there, like everybody there as a common audience, wanted to watch it live. And the local police was inside the temple removing the screen and saying, இதுக்கு permission இல்லைங்க, you have to take permission for putting up a screen inside a private temple. In government run temples, where people wanted to do annadana seva, மத்தியானம் வந்து பிராண பிரதிஷ்டை முடிஞ்சதுக்கு அப்புறம் சாப்பாடு கொடுக்கணும். Very first time they said, you got to take permission to even to offer food inside a temple, which in dharmic, in our dharma, that is a part of your duty. When you apply for permission, the question are 17 questions they ask. Who prepares the food? Where the food is coming, list out all the items, how many people will eat, mention the quantity. Then you please go and meet the JC. So in the Mari. So part number 2 is more disturbing. One is mismanagement, of course. The part number 2 is a deliberate effort to stifle the way you practice your religion. Part number 3 is distorting your practice. பூஜை நடக்கிறது கிடையாது, அது எந்த விதத்தில் நடக்கணுமோ அது கிடையாது. இந்த மூன்றும் வந்து இப்ப தமிழ்நாட்டில் பார்க்க ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டோம். Now your specific question, is there a fit case? Yes, absolutely there is a fit case. That's why as a political person, we keep telling as a party's thing, in constituency number 100 in Srirangam, we say, time has come to dismantle HRNC in Tamil Nadu, which BJP, when people vote us to power, we will do. Now the very specific question of entry 28 concurrent list. 2 days back, Amit Shah ji was sitting in an economic summit. There was an audience like you who asked a question. The opposition is unhappy with the Bharat Ratna that is given. They say for politically you are given Bharat Ratna to get votes. The opposition is asking, why not Savarkar is not given Bharat Ratna? Amit Shah ji's answer is my answer. Amit Shah ji said, thank you for the suggestion.
Last question. Yeah, this will be the last question.
Sir, Namaskar sir, Jai Sai Deepak and Annamalai sir. Basically, I'm from Madhya Pradesh. I am pursuing my bachelor's in engineering here.
Ji.
So, sir, there are a lot of talks going about Hindu Rashtra. So, like, what are your opinions on Hindu Rashtra? And is Hindu Rashtra actually possible?
One, yes, it's possible. Two, it merely means restoring the civilizational identity of this land and not using imported values to pixelate our identity. It doesn't mean second-grade rights to anybody else, but it certainly means the preferential treatment that has been going on and on and on for over 100 years, according to me, not just over 75 years, needs to stop, and particularly, history needs to be acknowledged. So when we are told that in the context of jati and so on and so forth, acknowledgement of history is important, and addressing that situation through social justice mechanisms is important, I fail to understand how does history suddenly become irrelevant and redundant in the context of other issues. You can't selectively say history is relevant for this and not this, because this is your pain point. I'll keep doing this on a regular basis. But as far as other issues are concerned, where history is actually acting to your advantage, I will not talk about it. That can't happen. 3, my vision for Bharat is actually what I would call Pax Indica, which is Greater Bharat. What is Pax Indica? If you read history, it will speak of Pax Britannica, Pax Romana, and now we are witnessing the dying gasps of Pax Americana, which means it's called Roman peace or English peace or American peace, which is peace that is established under the supremacy and the leadership of a particular country, where it has the widest possible economic influence, the widest possible cultural influence, and the widest possible political influence. My vision is strengthen your position within, and the immediate neighborhood of undivided Bharat should also become safe for the core identity of Bharat. That is the day you would effectively come to a point where a CAA is no more necessary. One is to enact a CAA to address the existing situation, but the next is to come to a point where you have a stick strong enough to say no further assaults on this identity in my neighborhood at the very least. That is my larger vision. Creating a safe homeland and a safe neighborhood for perhaps the most traumatized, genocided, massacred population of the world. I'll leave it to Shivashri if we still have any time, or if you want to wrap this up, I think. We'll wrap this up? Yes. I think we should be, because I want to respect the organizers' patience and the fact that Mr. Annamalai's time is more important. So thank you. Jai Shri Ram, Vande Mataram.